Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money. With your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 996 of Screw the Commute podcast. Today we're going to talk about brand visibility. I promised you last week that I was going to give you kind of an outline of things you can do to help your website because of the fact that artificial intelligence overviews, that was episode 995, just Friday this past week. Anytime you want to get to a back episode, of course, you go to screwthecommute.com/ and then the episode number. 995 was AI interviews and the problems it's causing you to get any kind of traffic at all off of Google. So one of the tips is to increase your brand visibility. Now, that's not a bad thing, regardless of Google, okay? So I'm going to give you an outline of things to do or that you need to start concentrating on, and I have individual episodes on how to do a lot of this stuff, which I'll throw in on this episode on some of them. All right, make sure you pick up a copy of our automation ebook, and you've heard me say that 990 times before, all right, except for the fact version 3.0 is now out. And so even if you've done it before, go back and grab version 3.0 at screwthecommute.com/automate free. And check out my mentor program at greatinternetmarketingtraining.com and my school at imtcva.org. All right, let's get into brand visibility. So I'm going to give you some things in no particular order here. And you need to start concentrating more on them or get some help or get some outsourcing to help you keep up with this stuff. Because if you want to get traffic, you got to get it somewhere, and it's out there. But depending on Google for it is a fool's gold kind of thing. All right. So the first thing is back to content marketing. A lot of people came out a while back saying, "Oh, content marketing is dead." And okay, well, it's not dead, and they're probably dead, or their their bank accounts are dead, right, by believing that. But content marketing is having your stuff show up, articles, blog posts, things like that, all over the place. All right, so you can make deals with other bloggers and other websites to put articles on them. So that's a whole thing to do that. So your name shows up everywhere. That's the point. We're talking about brand visibility. We want your name showing up all over the place. If you want to see an example of it, just type my name into Google. All right, it just shows up lots of different places, and I don't even try that much anymore. All right, so the next thing is social media engagement. Now, I probably have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least like 8 episodes. Anytime you want to get to just our training on Screw the Commute, go to screwthecommute.com/training. And those are just me training something. We have 500 more episodes of great entrepreneurs too. So don't slack off of those. But if you want to specifically learn something, you can go to the screwthecommute.com/training. Okay, now with regard to social media, let me just rattle off these other episodes: 933, 755, 613, 523, 409, 181, and a special Instagram one at 403. Now, some of the older ones, I may have changed strategy over time. So I would work backwards, starting with the latest episodes and work backwards. But anyway, overall, I know it's a pain in the neck, social media, but this is part of your brand visibility, whether you like it or not, in today's atmosphere. And what I'm going to suggest, and I know people are cringing out there, I don't want to do this, it's just a lot of wasted time and effort. I get that. I would pick one place where you know you have customers. I don't care if it's LinkedIn. I don't care if it's TikTok. I don't care if it's Instagram. But I would pick one of them and get really good at it. But you must have engagement. See, that's the whole thing. If you just post a lot, that doesn't do a damn thing except waste your time. If you don't get people to engage with you, and my strategy sessions tell you how to do that, then you're wasting your time. You're totally wasting your time. You're just putting stuff out there that nobody on earth sees. But you got to have it if you want to increase your brand visibility. And I'm just saying, if you're a one-person show or you have very limited help or time for this, pick one and get really good at it. You're just killing yourself if you just spread yourself over all of them. None of it's getting any engagement, and you're just wasting your time. So pick one. Okay, next thing is influencer marketing. Now, you got to be careful with this because so many influencers, you have to really evaluate where they're an influencer and if they're getting engagement, because they can easily boast millions and millions of followers. That's easy to get. Yeah, it might not sound it to you now, but a lot of these people, if they just look good in a bikini, can get millions of followers. But it doesn't mean any of them are going to buy anything from you or listen to them. Now, it could be, but you have to evaluate them and look at their engagement and what are people saying. If they're making comments like, "Ooh, hot stuff," or "Oh man, are you single?" Just stuff like that. None of those people are going to buy your legitimate stuff. Now, if you happen to be selling bikinis and they have hundreds and hundreds of people saying, "Oh, I love the way the straps go on that one," and making really reasonable comments, not just "you're hot," then that might be an influencer for you. All right, and I just picked that topic because it is easy to get millions of views when you look good in a bikini. All right, but there's influencers on all kinds of topics, and they don't have to have millions of views if they have a really great following that makes reasonable comments. So, but yeah, and there's brokerages that can do this, find you the right influencer. But again, they want the commission. They may not be interested in your success that much. One of my episodes, 865, has to do with influencer marketing. All right, the next thing that I'm the biggest one on earth promoting. No, I'm not the biggest one on earth doing it, but it's one of the biggest ones I've promoted on earth. Okay, is email. You can control when you send it, and it's where the big money is. People still respond to email. It's not dead like some of the idiots selling social media kind of claim. It's where everybody at my level and above makes the biggest money is email. So you got to pay attention to that. And I have email masterclasses I can sell you. I don't know the link right offhand here. Okay, next thing you want to pay attention to is digital PR, public relations. So you got sites like Expert Click, and there's others out there that you can put press releases out on, and they distribute. Now, what you have to be careful of is don't go to the free places that claim it's going to distribute to 50,000 sites. Those are bogus rip-offs, just trying to get your information so they can sell it to other people, and it's worthless. You're going to pay for a good PR distribution service that has access to Google and Yahoo News and all that stuff. All right, but that's a brand visibility thing and a worthwhile investment. Okay, sponsorships. Now, this is a great thing where big companies will promote you, and it's a whole thing to learn. I mean, I learned a lot of mine off of Roberto Candelaria. I don't know if he's teaching it much anymore, but the idea is you pitch a deal to big companies, and they all have sponsorship departments. They all sponsor, virtually all of them sponsor stuff. And you don't have to be a gigantic big deal for them to sponsor you if you learn to make the right pitch to them. And a lot more money is going into sponsorship because newspapers and magazines and all that stuff is, talk about dead, they're if not dead, dying in last breath. All right. So sponsorship's a great way to increase your brand visibility because they have PR teams that'll put your name out all over the place. All right. Now, next thing, I have 3 episodes on 897, 736, and 518. There's probably way more episodes on affiliate stuff, but some of it is from the point where you're trying to make money selling other people's stuff. That's not what we're talking about. We're trying to get affiliates that are promoting your stuff, and they're going to go spread it on their social media and their email lists and everything. It's increasing your brand visibility. And the last two on the list are dear to my heart, is start a podcast. And don't start it in the idea that you're going to get sponsors to pay you to do it. Unless you're a celebrity already, you can just forget that. Start it the way I did, where I'm my own sponsor. I promote my own products and services and maybe affiliate products once in a while, but that's where you make the money right off the bat. You don't, sponsors for podcasts pay between, and this is different than sponsorship, which I was talking about earlier, where they'll give you a lot of money to do a specific thing. This is basically a sponsor's an advertiser on your podcast, but they pay between $12 and $18 per 1,000 downloads per episode. Well, it takes a long time to get to that point. You may never get to that point. And then, so you won't make any money. But my podcast made money from day one because I sold ebooks and courses and my Wake 'em Up system and self-defense stuff. I mean, all this on my own sponsor. So start your own podcast. But if you're not ready for that, be a great podcast guest. And I just released it again today for 2025 on how to be a great podcast guest. You could be in this coming year, by the balance of this year, if you did everything I told you in this podcast course I just came out with, you could probably be in front of 500,000 warm prospects. Talk about brand visibility. Because you're getting a warm introduction to all their listeners from every podcast host. So if you want to learn that, check out screwthecommute.com/great podcast guest. And I only have 10 slots available at this price point. So jump on it as soon as you can if you really want to learn. How can I tell you this? Well, I've done over 1,000 podcasts. I've been on over 1,000 radio interviews and podcasts. And I've interviewed over 500 podcast guests. I know who sucks and who's great and who's never going to be on again because they suck. And that doesn't mean that they weren't okay. All right. That they were passable. But I want great podcast guests so people hear the show and they hear that was great. I don't want just, okay, there's another crappy podcast. All right. See, so I know what to do. So I put this into a course and it will help you be a hot podcast guest. All right. Well, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. You got to increase your brand visibility if you want traffic because it's getting it from Google anymore, especially with AI interviews or AI overviews, that they show right at the top of the search. Even the best sites on earth that are getting 1, 2, or 3 listings are losing 30% plus traffic. All right. So how are you going to fare if you're on page 2 or 3, if you even get to that high, so these are the things you do so you're not dependent on this mythical traffic to get from Google. And don't waste money on SEO. I have basic SEO stuff that you should do just so you don't shoot yourself in the foot. And I mentioned all that on episode 995, which was last Friday. All right, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Hey, go over and check out screwthecommute.com/great podcast guest. And let me help you. All right, catch you later.